304, number 1. I guess I don't quite understand it. Maybe I don't understand the whole process, but why would you play the king?
Okay, on number 1,
Uh-huh.
it says, in each of the, you are on lead, which card would you lead to prevent declare from using his suit later as an entry to dummy? Well, I think it would be the 8. Or the king. Where's the king? I don't even see the king.
It's in you.
Oh, we're east. Okay, yes, because the thing is, hello, I'm moving. Okay.
direction.
I was looking at the partner, I was like, he doesn't even have the king. No, you would play the king because that would immediately force him to take the ace and get the entry out of dummy. Okay? If you were to lead, say, for the 2, right, he could win conceivably with the queen or the 9, depending on what your partner played. If you play the jack, well, declarer can win with the queen and still have the ace as an entry. If you play the king, he's either going to take it or he's not. But if he doesn't take it, right, you can now lead anyone because the ace will be the only one left, and the ace will then be gone as an entry to declarer. If he takes the ace, well, you have succeeded in taking away that entry.
Thank you. I have another question. Am I allowed to?
Of course.
When they're talking about your discard for your partner,
Mhm.
and it says that if you lead a even number, to tell them you have an even number of cards.
Okay.
Did you talk about that?
Okay. There's discarding and there's leading.
Okay, this is
This
discarding.
is discarding, and no, that's part of the count.
Okay,
And we
good.
said that I'm not gonna worry about count at this point because I find it's just, we have way more important things to be looking at than count.
Thank
in
you.
this level. Okay, yeah,
Can I go back to that first one?
sure.
If he doesn't play the queen or the ace, then he's made both the ace, both of them.
Well, no, the idea is, and again, this is the important thing on defense. Sometimes you, on defense, will sacrifice a trick, like maybe not taking your ace, okay, maybe you don't ever get it. But if taking your ace sets up 4 tricks for him,
Yeah.
then 1 for 4 is a good deal, right? You give up 1, but you take away 4 from him. So what they're saying is that he's got some kind of a long suit that he's gonna set up and dummy in another suit. And what you see, because you can stop that other suit a couple times, but he's still gonna have an entry with the ace of this suit. So what you wanna do is, while you can still stop that long suit, you wanna knock that ace out of dummy, so he's not gonna be able to get there once he sets that up. So that's your goal. So it's not that you wanna get your king. Okay, yes, you will sacrifice. If you play the king, it will now set up his queen, and he will get 2 tricks in this suit, for sure. But the goal was to keep him from getting all those other tricks in that other suit. So the goal is, how do we get the ace out of dummy so he can't use it as an entry? And the way you would do that is by lead the king. And again, that's giving up a trick for your side, but your goal is to keep him from getting all of those others. And 1 trick for many is really a good deal. Okay? Does anybody else have any questions? No. Okay. All right, so we're going to go chapter 8. Now, remember how last week I started with this is a really stinky chapter and I hate it? Well, chapter 8 is a really good chapter, and I love it, okay? Because chapter 8 is really culminating all we've done in the first 7 chapters. Well, the first 6 plus that crappy one last week, right? You're putting together your defender's plan. And the stuff that's in this chapter is the stuff that you will use over and over again. Okay, so I want you to, this is a really good chapter to notice and to pay attention on, because here we're really defending, okay? All right, so we talked about, declarer making their plan and how they go and they count their winners in no trump, or they count their losers in a suit contract. Well, on defense, you're also making a plan. You just might not realize it. So we're hoping to make you realize it at this point, because sometimes you'll set the contract because the declarer has a bad plan or they screw up, and that's always fun. That's easy. But most of the time on defense, you have to work in order to set the contract. And again, defense is not just wait until you're the declarer, okay, or to bid the next hand. Defense is an active And the reason it's so much fun is because you're actively working on it with your partner through signaling and everything, okay? And again, the objective, so we're talking about the objective, which is the same thing, you know, they got the old plan, pause to look, consider your objective, look at your winners and losers, analyze the alternatives, and then put it all together. It's the exact same plan that you have when you're making a plan as a declarer, okay? It's just this time, you have to work blindly because you can't see your partner's hand. When the declarer makes his plan, he can see dummy and his hand, so he can kind of have a better judge. You have to do it hidden because you can only see your hand, and then of course once dummy comes down, you can see dummy's hand. But what we have to remember is the objective is setting the contract. And like we just had that one where you lead the king and you give up a trick, if it prevents him from getting all the rest of the tricks in that other suit so that he can't make his contract, that's a good thing, all right? Taking your ace, rarely, unless they're in a suit, unless they're in a 7 contract, taking your ace is not going to set the contract, okay? What you have to do is get the ace plus something else, and more than one trick depending on where you are, in order to set the contract. And that's your objective on defense, okay? And if you look to page 323, it's kind of gives you some idea. If you could see both you and your partner's hand, right, you could see that in a no-trump contract, you're entitled to 4 spades, right? All right? But unfortunately, on defense, you can't see that. So you, being the you person, can see 2 spade tricks. And it's not until we start get some signalings and stuff like that that we might be able to develop the other 2 spade tricks, finding out that our partner has the queen and the jack, right? It's so much easier when you can see them both. But again, if you see your partner's hand, cheating. Okay? So when we take a look at this hand being the you person, we can assume, hopefully, in no trump or a suit, that we would get 2 spade tricks and at least 1 heart trick. If the guy on our right had bid hearts, then we would hope that maybe he would have the king and we would get 2 heart tricks. So we would think that possibly, before we make the opening lead, before dummy comes down, that we had a hope of getting 4 tricks with this hand. All right? If dummy comes down and the king of hearts is in dummy, our 4 tricks just immediately went down to 3. Right? Okay. But again, you are thinking about your hand. Once dummy comes down, you can get some information from that in order to determine if you have enough tricks combined to set the contract. Now, a lot of times you can get an idea based on the bidding where certain cards are or certain things are. So for instance, if you have bid a suit and your partner has raised your suit, then generally speaking, you'll probably have at least 8 cards in that suit, right? So if you've got the ace, king, queen, jack in that suit, the chances of you getting all 4 of those tricks in a suit contract, not very good, right? Because if you've got 5 and your partner's got 3, they only have 5 between them. So after the first 2, somebody's going to be out, at least, if it's not even split more. Does that make sense? So like if you're going to double somebody because you think you're going to get 4 tricks in this suit, that would not be a wise move because your partner has supported you, all right? So knowing that, you can expect to get less tricks in the suit because you know that between you and your partner, you have more, right? And they're in a suit contract on purpose, all right? In a no-trump contract, if you've got that ace, king, queen, jack, you're going to get those suits, right? Because your partner's going to lead it or you're going to be on lead, all right? And they talk a little bit about where the king of hearts is on this deal. Again, you start when you're on defense, you look at your hand and you have an idea of how many tricks you might be able to take, but you only are basing it for the most part on your hand. And then when dummy comes down, then you're going to raise or lower that. You know, if you've got the ace and king of spades and they're in a heart contract and dummy comes down and there's no spades, well, your 2 tricks just went right down the toilet, right? So it does change. And again, as you see dummy, you'll get an idea of declarer's plan and you might want to consider ways to foil it. If, for instance, they've got a singleton avoiding dummy, then their declarer's plan would be to rough some of that suit and dummy using it. So you might want to find a way to lead trump, and so he can't do that, all right? But you don't know that until dummy comes down. And again, when we're communicating between ourselves and our partner, we can do so with signaling, we can do so with leading, all right? And you have to visualize sort of the missing cards in order to come up with a way to set the contract. For instance, if you take a look at page 325, okay? Now, you're defending, okay, and let's see what you're defending. You're defending, well, it doesn't make a difference. Defending is against the spade contract, okay? So we're in 325. So before dummy comes down, we know that we're probably going to get the ace of diamonds, right? Depending on where the king of diamonds is, we might get 2 diamond tricks. So if our partner or the declarer has the king of diamonds, we should get 2 diamond tricks in this, conceivably. Hopefully we can get a heart trick by promotion, okay? So, and you might even be able to get a club trick based on, you know, if your partner has some help in clubs. So if you're on a spade contract, you have to think about what you would make as the opening lead, all right? What would everybody lead from this hand against a spade contract? Let's say they're in a, it doesn't make a difference, some sort of spade contract. What would you lead from this? Yeah. Huh?
Queen of Hearts.
Queen of Hearts, top of a sequence would be a really good lead. Does everybody agree that leading the ace of diamonds is not good?
Yes.
Oh, bless you. Thank you. Okay, yes. We don't want to play the ace of diamonds because we hope that the declarer or our partner has the king. If our partner has the king, we're always going to get it. Doesn't make a difference, right? But if the declarer has the king, then we want to be able to trap his king with our ace queen so that he doesn't get a trick with that trick. If we just plunk down the ace, guess whose king just made good, right? All right? Again, so it's not about just taking our ace, it's about getting more tricks to set the contract. So on this particular hand, again, the 9, if you had thought that they're based on the bidding, well, no. Again, if you had thought that they might be trumping something in dummy, then the 9 of spades would be a perfectly legitimate lead. There's nothing wrong with that. But having not have that information, the Queen of Hearts is a really good lead because top of touching honors in a sequence, if the King of Hearts happens to come down in dummy and your partner has the ace, you just scored some sweet tricks, okay? Now, if your partner doesn't have the ace or whatever, that's okay. You still can hopefully promote by forcing out the ace, by forcing out the king, you will be able to promote your 10. And then hopefully get that, plus 2 diamond tricks, and maybe your partner has something, okay? But again, that's your thought process. Not just about getting the ace, but how to set the contract. How do we get enough tricks to set the contract? Now, let's just assume that dummy comes down and the king of diamonds isn't in dummy's hand. Who do we think should lead diamonds? Our partner, right? He's either got the king or he leads through the king, but we all agree that we should not be the one to lead diamonds, correct? So again, through our play and our communication with our partner, hopefully we'll be able to figure that out, okay? So if you take a look, and there's the example where the king isn't dummy and your partner does have the ace because it's back to the beginning bridge class, that's the way it always worked out. But again, it does happen in the real world, okay? And that's a good lead. Again, now we're going to talk about putting it all together. So we've done the first 7 chapters where we've talked about leading, we've talked about signaling, we've talked about contemplating the defense. This is when we're really going to put it all together. And there's some really good hands here, and I can't stress enough how important it is to think actively about defense. Better players are really thinking defense the whole time. They're counting how many cards their partner has in this suit, how many trumps are there. Now, it might seem hard. It isn't with practice. It really becomes very rote if you practice it, but you have to force yourself to practice the same way you force yourself to make a plan when you're declared. Okay? All right. So again, before the opening lead, the only thing you have to go on is the bidding that has occurred during the play. Did your partner bid a suit? Did the declarer bid a suit? Are they going to be trumping and dummy? these type of things. You want to think about the bidding, because a lot of times that will give you a clue on how you're going to start your defense. Now, the important thing about defense is, remember, when you make the opening lead, you haven't seen dummy yet. So you have one thought in your head on how the defense should go, but dummy comes down and you have a partner that's involved. So he might have a different idea on defense. You have to work with your partner, all right? And while as declarer, remember, we start with plan A, and then when that doesn't work, we sometimes go down to plan B or plan C. Remember that? You do that with defense as well. Because when you start out leading your ace of spades and they're in heart contract, and dummy comes down with a void in spades, you have to switch your defensive plan, right? Okay. So let's take a look at some examples, all right? Page 327, all right, before the opening lead, all right? We're defending against a 3 no trump contract, and we have so much help with the bidding. 1 no trump, 3 no trump. All right? Now, what we do know is that dummy did not do Stamen looking for a 4-card major. So that is a little bit of information that you know, right? They also did not do a transfer. So they more likely than not are fairly flat balance, right? Fairly, okay? Sometimes they're not, but they have a nice long suit, but we have to go with what we have. So those are the 2 pieces of information that we have. So we can take a look, and we're in 3 no trump, and this is our hand, and we're in the opening lead. So we got 2 short tricks, 2 aces, that's good. That's 2. How many do we need? 5. We need 5, right? So how do we think defensively that we might be able to come up with 3 more tricks? Spades. Your longest suit, right? So if your partner can help you at all in spades, you can hopefully force out a couple of high honors in spades, and then using your aces as your entry to get back into your hand, collect the rest of your spade tricks. So that's your plan. Okay, so if we think about it, now it's possible that if our partner had bid clubs, maybe we'd want to lead a club. That's possible. But without any bidding information, the more likely scenario for us to get additional tricks on defense is from the spade suit, right? So we would lead spades. What card would we lead? 5. The 5, 4th down. 4th down. Okay, so you would lead the 5 of spades and hopefully set up some spade tricks in addition to your 2 aces. Okay, so let's go on to the next page and see what happens. Okay, so you lead the 5 of spades, and, well, dummy came down with the queen, and declarer played the queen, and it won. Okay, your partner put the 4 on. They don't have any help for you, right? Okay, so they win the queen. They're gonna play, let's take a look at their plan. They have to set up hearts and diamonds. They have to give up the ace of hearts and the ace of diamonds in order to get all of their tricks. Do we all agree? Okay, so he's going to lead a diamond, let's say, and we get in with our ace of diamonds. Okay, is there any reason for us to hold up and not take our ace of diamonds on the first trick? No, I mean, he's going to have all the diamonds, so you don't gain anything, right? So you might as well take your ace, because what is your plan?
Get out the spade.
Right, okay. So we win the ace of diamonds. What card do we lead now? Remember, you can't see your partner or declarer. All you can see is dummy and your hand. And you know that they played the ace, the queen on the first trick, and your partner put the 2 on her, some low card.
So declarer has the ace, so you want to drive out the ace.
So what card would we play next?
Jack.
The king or the jack. Doesn't make any difference, they're the same. But what you want to do is force out that ace while you still have another entry, which is going to be your other ace, your ace of hearts. Does everybody see that? You would not want to lead a little one. All right, now in this particular case, your partner has the 10, but declarer could easily have the 10 as well. Okay, switch the 7 with the 10, and you see, if you play another little one, instead of your king or your jack, the declarer could then now win the 10. Okay, so you know that you have the king and the jack, and that will force out the ace. So you're going to play your king or your jack next, not a little one. Okay, declarer might hold up one, you're going to play the other one. Still working. All right, force out the ace. Now the ace is gone. You still have two very good little spades in your hand, and the ace of hearts with which to get to them, okay? Does that make sense? All right, so he's gonna play something, and you're gonna discard everything in your hand except your two good spades and your ace. Okay, you can discard the 8 of hearts, you don't need it. You only need the ace of hearts and your two good spades, so you will discard everything else. Okay? And then eventually, he will have to lead a heart, you will pounce, and you will have gotten the setting tricks. Does that make sense? Okay. But again, that's your plan. Okay. Now, that was your plan on this hand. Take a look. Now we've switched a few cards around. Take a look at the hand at the top of page 329. Okay? Again, they're in 3-no trump. All right. Again, you have those 5 long spades. They're just not quite as pretty this time. Okay. So what do we think the opening lead might be on this hand against 3-no trump? The king of clubs. That's right. Now, while we might be able to get some spade tricks, it's going to take us a while to set that up, correct? All right, but we can immediately start on clubs and force out the ace because we can still lead clubs until that ace pops out, right? And we will always get 3 club tricks, always, because the ace can only take one of them, right? So if we start with that, we will know that we will get 3 club tricks and 2 aces. That guy's down right off the bat. Okay? Might have been a good double, but yeah.
I was gonna say, would you have doubled this?
Quite possibly, because I'm on lead.
Right.
Okay? In fact, I know I would have doubled, okay? Because I'm on lead. Now, if your partner's on lead, maybe not, because he doesn't know to lead a club. Okay? All right. But does that make sense? Because you can see 5 tricks in your hand, and that's what you need in order to set the contract. You don't even need any help from your partner. All right? Again, you're basing the opening lead based on your defensive plan. What your defensive plan might be, what you've learned from the bidding, and then the cards in your hand, okay? Take a look at page 330. And I want somebody to find me in that little bidding scenario, the wrong bid. Because there's a wrong bid there. Does anybody see it? Let's take a look. East opens a heart, that's a partner. South overcalls 1 spade. Well, you got nothing, you're passing. Okay. North bids 3 spades.
Do they have enough to bid 3 spades? 3, 6, 10.
What should
What
North bid?
4 spades?
No. This is a competitive auction. No.
Well, shouldn't you leave back your partner's bid?
Well, again, well, no, it's not about leading now. I'm talking about the bidding. North's bid is wrong. I'm going to tell you right now, North's bid is wrong. He bid 3 spades. His correct bid is to Q bid.
Oh, hearts.
2 hearts. So make sure you write that in your book, because that's an incorrect bid. It's not going to be the only one either. Okay, that should be a 2-heart bid. In a competitive auction, to show strength and support for your partner, you should Q bid. All right, because remember, South could only have 8 points with that overcall. That does not in any way, shape, or form promise an opening hand.
And strength is 10 points.
10 or more points. And it can be support points. Doesn't all have to be high card. Because remember, you're supporting your partner, all right? So that bid should be to it. Anyway, I just wanted to point that out, because bad bid, got a Q bid. Keep that Q bid in mind. Anyway, they get to 4 spades. All right, now let's switch back to defense. Okay. Oh my gosh, we do have nothing. All right, well again, they're in 4 spades and our partner opened the bidding. There's not much left for us, you know? And that's something that your partner should think about. They opened the bidding, and we went a little bit of this over at the Tuesday game a lot yesterday, about counting points. Now there is support points, so there's actually more than 40 points in the deck. But we start with 40, right? And if your partner opens, give them 13, and these people have gotten to game, give them 25. 25 and 13 is like 38-ish, right? Yeah, ish. So how many points does you, the partner, have? Not much, okay? We can all figure that out. So if you're continually looking for your partner to get in with their high cards,
Forget it.
right, okay? And that's something that you want to think about on defense. Oh, I'm gonna leave, because my partner's gonna come up with their ace. Where did they get an ace? You know, we'll be happy if we can get a jack or a queen over there, all right? So that's part of what you want to think about when you're making your opening lead. But this time we, with nothing, are going to lead. So what would you lead from that lovely little hand on page 330 into a 4-spade contract?
We have partners.
Jack of hearts.
We have nothing better to lead, so our partner did bid, right? So we have to hope that they have something in hearts. But why would we lead anything else? They bid hearts. We have nothing, right? So we're gonna lead our partner's suit. Okay, so we've determined the suit. Now we have to determine the card. What card would you lead from Jack 10-7?
Top of the touchy.
The Jack, the top of touchy numbers, right? So we've determined the suit, we determined the card, okay? And if you come down, you see how well that works, okay? Us, with our 1 point, have succeeded in making the lead that will set the contract. Good for you. Good use of that jack, all right? Because you can see you have now trapped Dummy's king by leading your partner's suit, and your partner will get 2 heart tricks plus the 2 aces. Does everybody see that? So if you play the jack, if they play low, what is your partner going to play? Let's say you played the jack and Dummy played the 9. What card are you going to play the 8, right? The 8. I mean, I suppose you could play the queen if you wanted to, but there's really no reason to, okay? You would give the 8. But if you think your partner doesn't have 3, you might have a singleton or something, well, you're still gonna let it go. Because even if your partner has a singleton, you don't need to give them a rough because you've got all the high ones, so you're gonna just give them the 8, okay? Does that make sense? I'm thinking it all through.
Is that a signal to tell you like it? Is that the reason you play the 8?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you know, because you really want to be in the face. If you don't want to give up the 8, if you're worried about it, you could still give them the 4. They should be able to figure out when their jack wins
It's got the other.
that they could continue the suit, okay? And that's something I want you to think about because, you know, your partner may not want to give up a trick because his 8 may become important later on if the declarer has more hearts and you had less. He might want to put the 4. He should be able to depend on you to not say, well, the 4 is a discouraging card, so I'm going to switch suits, right? His jack 1, he should be able to figure that one out, okay? But does that make sense? Okay, take a look at page 331. Oh, and here's another scenario. Okay, now look at it this time. Now again, this time we had the same bidding. Your partner bid a heart, they got to 4 spades, okay? How many heart tricks do you think you're gonna get this time?
1.
Not many, right? Because you've got 10 hearts between you, at least, right? So we're not gonna, so we could still lead the jack of hearts, but again, our goal is to not just get 1 trick, it's to get more than 1 trick, right? So do we think that we might want to lead the jack of hearts on this hand?
No. We just singleton diamond.
Your 8 of diamonds, right? Remember, your partner has some points over there. He opened the bidding. So he should have something other than the ace and king of hearts. Because otherwise he opened really light. All right? So we would lead the ace of diamonds. 8 of diamonds, I'm sorry, 8 of diamonds. Ace, 8, no good. 8 of diamonds, okay? Hoping that our partner has the ace and can return it to us for a rough. All right, well, take a look at the bottom. Lo and behold, okay, you lead the 8 of diamonds. Now, the 8 of diamonds could very well be the top of nothing, but your partner, being the Guyanese, has to think, well, why would my partner lead the top of nothing when I bid a heart? That's just silly, right? That's just silly. So he has to think about why you would lead the 8 of diamonds instead of his suit. Probably a good reason, right? Because you've taken the defense class, all right? So he's going to take his ace, and he's going to return a diamond to see if maybe And again, it would give him a little clue when he sees all those diamonds and dummy, right? Because now dummy comes down, he's like, okay, all right. My partner's 1 point just got a little bigger, right? Okay, so we would take our ace, so we're gonna return it to him. What card do we return? Does it make a difference?
Yeah, 7, go up on 7.
Okay. Does anybody know, the 7 is the correct answer, but does anybody know why the 7 is the correct answer?
Go up to.
Well, it's doubleton, but again, do you need to tell your partner who you think has a singleton that you have a doubleton?
No.
No. Okay, probably don't remember this, but this is a very important part of defense. When you are giving your partner a ruff, or you think you're giving your partner a ruff, you need to not only give him the ruff, but to tell him how to get back to your hand, so you can not only give him 1 ruff, you can give him 2. All right? So your card, remember, when you're playing a card, talk to your partner. He doesn't need to know that you've got a doubleton, he's got a singleton. What he needs to know is, where is your other entry? Okay? If you had the ace of clubs and not the ace of hearts, which could be, right? You would lead the 5 of diamonds, the lower one. But we don't. We have the ace of hearts. So we want to tell our partner that we would, with the 7 of hearts, that when you get in, if you want to get back to me, a heart is the way to do it. All right? So you're giving a suit preference signal when you're going to give your partner a ruff. All right? Because let's face it, you would still open that hand, take a look at partner's hand, if you had the ace of clubs instead of the ace of hearts, right? And you had 5 hearts, you'd still open a heart with 5 of them to the queen, because you have an opening hand, and 5 hearts. You're not guaranteeing the ace, okay? So you could have the ace of hearts, you could have the ace of clubs. Your partner needs to know which. And by the card you lead back for them to ruff, you're telling them. It's really ingenious. You just have to pay attention and think about it. Yes?
How do you read the tea leaves that 7 is the higher?
Well, because any card higher than a 6 is generally a pretty high one.
Not only that, you can see the dummy.
Well, that's true too.
But the 6 and the 4 is coming up, so. I tried that yesterday and my partner didn't pick up on it. And I was just like, I don't know how you read the tea leaves either.
Okay. Your partner didn't pick up on it. That's the key. You did it right. Okay? If your partner isn't paying attention or has missed the class, okay, they're not going to pick up on it because they don't know. All right? Doesn't mean you shouldn't do it.
Right.
Because the next time you'll be playing with somebody who will pick up. Okay?
It's hard for me even when I'm not trying to pay attention to look at the cards and go, okay, what's that supposed to mean? And seeing my hand and dummy, I struggle with that. So.
Well, again, just because you want it to be a skill doesn't mean it. I want to be a par golfer, but you know what? I'm not going to go on there and say I want to do it. So I read a book. All right, so you have to practice. All right, you have to practice, and you don't get to the point where you're looking at that and noticing it without practice. And a bunch of goofs too. Really good bridge players didn't start that way. They started screwing up by leading away from their aces. Okay? All right? So, but we learn and we get better and we practice, and that's what you're doing. So the fact that your partner isn't paying attention doesn't mean you shouldn't do it every time. I do it when I'm playing with all my students. When I play on a Tuesday, I'm signaling that I know they're not looking, but it doesn't mean I'm not going to do it. Okay? Because that's just the way it is. And the same thing when you lead and when you signal, when it becomes and you do it rote, you will do it no matter if somebody's looking or not. But you will play it right. And eventually you'll be playing with somebody who's going to pay attention. Okay? Yeah.
Can you just go through, also, you're playing the 8, your partner's playing the ace.
Right.
Okay. Your partner then plays the 7, and you are playing.
Well, the cleric's going to come up with 1, but I'm going to rough it.
Right. Right.
Okay, I'm going to rough it, and then I'm going to return the Jack of Hearts.
Jack of Hearts to signal that that's a good suit.
Well, no, it's because, so I had the ace, the 7, and I think it was, oh, that's not a good marker.
Ace, 7, and 5.
The ace, the 7 and the 5,
Yes.
okay?
Yeah.
Now, so I win the ace and I'm gonna return the suit because I want him to rough it.
Yes.
Okay, which of these cards tells him what suit to lead next to get me back in so I can give him another rough? So if I have the ace of hearts, this is a higher one,
Oh, yes.
okay? So that would be hearts, okay? And this is a lower one, and I'm not gonna draw a club because I don't know how to.
Right.
That would be a club, okay? All right, so you're giving your partner hopefully a signal on how to get back to you. And again, it's kind of obvious because your partner bid a heart that you might want to lead a heart, but if your partner opened and he didn't have the ace of hearts, then he has to lead a club. And you have to pay attention to which card. Now, he can only do with what he has. If he has the 2 and the 3, he's going to return the 3 and hope you can figure it out. All right, and if you can't, well, then they're going to make their contract. Okay, yeah.
What if your longer suit were spades? What diamond, is there
What do
a
you
way to signal that?
What do you mean? Oh, well,
Your
no,
partners.
there, unfortunately, there really isn't. There really isn't a way to, because you always assume it's not Trump.
Well, also
Oh,
the
that's
declare a bid of
Besides, if he
spades.
leads a Trump to get in, he doesn't have any Trump to rough with anyway, so. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes?
So once you get the rough, if you're looking at that 7 as a signal to get back to your partner to give you another rough, then why would you lead the jack? Because you're assuming your partner says this is how to get back there, so why wouldn't you just lead a low one? Keeping your jack, because your jack could be important later.
Okay, well, and that's a good point. But again, every time we've now determined that we're gonna lead a heart, okay? So when you're gonna lead a suit, we've chosen the suit, just like the last time. Once we've chosen the suit, we determine the lead by what's in our hand. We have the jack 10, the king is on the board. We want to lead the jack. This tells our partner what's in our hand. He has the queen, but we don't know that. So when we lead the jack, our partner knows that we probably have the 10. We definitely do not have the queen. Because that's what we would lead. If we had 4 to the jack, we might lead a low one, all right? But we have the jack 10. So once we've determined that we're gonna lead hearts, then it reverts to, okay, if I'm gonna lead this suit, what card do I lead? And if you have the jack 10 in that suit, you should lead the jack, not the little one, okay? Now, let's say, for instance, you lead the jack of hearts and they call for the 9 from dummy. What should partner play?
Queen?
The queen, right? He wants to play the queen because he has to be on lead. So even though his jack is just as good as your queen, you need to be on lead to lead the diamond again. So you would take the queen. Does that mean you're gonna immediately take your ace?
No.
No, there's no worry about that. We don't know that there's a singleton in in declare. But we do know that our partner doesn't have any more diamonds. So taking that ace over the king, we can do that anytime we want. What we need to do is get back to our partner so that he can rough another diamond, okay? And you will see, if you decide to take your ace, because you gotta get that ace, well, now Declare's gonna rough it and he's gonna make his contract. Because now he can pull Trump. And all his diamonds will be good. So it's important, and I'm gonna tell you, because you've all been there, how many people would just plunk down that ace because they want to get it, squish that king, without thinking about the defensive plan. Now, if Declare has more than 1 heart, because your partner doesn't know that you've got 5 of them, right? He'll get his ace later, but he's still got to get the rough to you, because that's a short trick. Yeah.
Okay, so if we go back to the bidding on the top of 330, my partner opened 1 heart. So I know he's got 5 and I've got 5, that's 10. So really probably 1 heart is just gonna work anyway, right?
What do you mean? Well, we know that, but remember, our partner doesn't know we have
Right,
5.
the partner doesn't know that, but we know.
We know that it's not gonna fly, especially when there's 2 come down in dummy. We know that Declare has at most 1, because we can count. If our partner had 6, Declare doesn't have any, okay? And then he's gonna make his contract anyway, so you can't do anything about that. But our partner knows they've got 5 hearts. They can only see 2 in dummy. They don't know where the rest of. They don't know you have 5. all right? But you see how important it is about keeping the defensive plan in mind, okay? And working with your partner, okay? Take a look, again, so you had bid hearts, you have to think about why my partner didn't lead my suit, all right? Which means, if you've got the top of nothing, don't lead the 8 from 8-7-2, you know? Lead your partner's suit. There's no reason to lead the 8. So you have to think about what lead you should make, and your partner has to work with you. Okay, my partner chose to lead the 8 of diamonds. He had to do it for a reason, so I will cooperate and work with them, because that was his idea for a defensive plan on the opening lead. Right? Okay. Take a look at another one. If you take a look here, okay. Oh, gotta take a look at this bidding here. Take a look at the bidding, okay? South opens a spade, North bids 2 clubs. The old temporizing 2 club bid. Look at the hand over here. Okay, everybody remember? We don't go to 4 with that hand. We make the temporizing, you know, bidding a 2 of a minor just to keep the bidding open, get more information. See that? Remember, for those of you who haven't been at bridge shots, we went over this a little bit in bridge shots. We go over it, I go over it in the beginning bridge class coming up October 25th. But you can see North has 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 points and a fit. His partner bid a spade, but instead of bidding 4 spades, which shows a much weaker hand, you make a temporizing forcing bid. You're not a passed hand, you bid 2 clubs just to make your partner bid again, and then you will guide it to 4 spades. I wanted to point that out because all too often people forget that temporizing bid, get very confused by it, right? Or just say, well, I'm just going to go to 4 and then wonder why they missed 6, okay? So circle this one. This is a good example of when and why you use the temporizing bid, okay? Now, as it is, you're going to just get to 4. There is no slam there. Actually, it's defense slash end. I'm going to make 4. But again, you want to make that temporizing bid. So I just wanted to review that bidding because that's really important. Yes, ma'am.
What does that 2 clubs say to my partner? Other than I maybe have another suit?
That's all he knows.
Okay.
He does not know anything other than you have 10 or more high card points.
Okay.
Because you bid a new suit at the 2 level and have at least 4 clubs.
Okay.
Okay? That's all it tells him. He doesn't know that you're going to end up in 4 spades. You do.
Okay.
And you will just start because by making that temporizing bid of 2 clubs, he's now going to give you more information about his hand. Whether it's a weak, you know, just a basic opener, whether he's got, 19 points over there, whatever he's got, he will make another bid, and that will give you some idea, being the dummy person, right? Whether 4 spades is high enough, or maybe we should look higher. Okay,
thank you.
all right.
So that's always forcing?
If you're not a passed hand, it is always forcing. Okay, you can't do it if you're a passed hand because it wouldn't be forcing anymore. Okay, but if you're not a passed hand, a bid of a new suit is forcing. Okay, so anyway, so he bids the 2 clubs, so you can see what he has. Your partner is now going to bid 2 spades because he's got 6 of them. All right, and when he bids 2 spades, he's showing 6 pieces. He's also showing a minimum opening hand, right? This is refresher on bidding. If he had more points, he would jump or do something else. Okay, so he bids 2 spades showing the 6 spades and a minimum hand. So if he's got a minimum hand, which is 13, 14 points, and you have 13, game is good, slam is not. Okay, so then you could bid 4 spades. And he will be very happy when dummy comes down, until he goes down. Okay. All right, so now let's take a look. So what are we going to lead? Well, what are we going to lead against 4 spades? And I'm going to tell you, I would never lead the 5 of diamonds because I'm not going to lead away from a king in a suit contract with that many diamonds. I'm just not going to happen. I would lead the 6 of spades personally. That would be my lead. But this is bridge class and they're having you lead low from an honor, so they're having you lead the 5 of diamonds. Okay. Which you can see how much helps the declarer because he's going to play the queen and it's going to win, right? Okay. Now, what card do you play on that hand?
10 10 spades?
Again, they played the diamond, so you led the 5, they've come up with the queen, okay? And you're gonna play,
The 9?
you could play the 9 because you do have the jack, that's fine, okay? But do you think that you are going to set the contract by returning your partner's lead of a diamond?
No.
Even though you have the jack. All right, so let's take a look. So declarer is now going to pull trump. So he wins the queen of diamonds, right? And he is going to pull trump. So he pulls all the trumps, so the trump's gone, okay? And then he's in his hand and he leads the king of clubs, okay? Do you, as the you person, hold up?
There's not much point,
Huh?
right? There's not much point.
There's not much point, no. Because at this point, he's still got the queen of spades, he's got the ace of diamonds as an entry. It doesn't really do you, it's not gonna benefit your side to hold up. Because if he's got a singleton, it just went away. He can always get there and capture the rest of them anyway. He's got plenty of entries. So you're gonna play your ace because there's no reason not to. Okay, so what do you lead now when you're in with the ace of clubs? Remember, you don't have any more trump, it's all gone.
Heart.
We're gonna lead a heart. Well, that's good. There's a weakness in the board, there's only the queen there, right? Because we have to visualize, if we are going to set the contract, we've got the ace of clubs, and that's kind of it, right? That's kind of it. So the only way we can set the contract is if our partner has something good in hearts. All right? Remember, they're not in slam for a reason. Think about that. They are not in slam. Okay? Okay. So we're going to lead a heart. We're hoping that our partner has the ace. Because if our partner doesn't have the ace of hearts, the guy's going to make his contract. See, that's what you have to think about. If our partner doesn't have the ace, he's going to make his contract and it doesn't make any difference what we do. So what we have to do is try. So we're going to lead a heart, hoping our partner has the ace. Because if our partner has the ace, we are going to get some heart tricks. Do we all agree? Okay. So we're going to lead a heart. So what heart are we going to lead then? So we've determined
Why? 4 highest?
the 4.
Why?
Because we're leading low from. Okay? When you lead the 8, it says, partner, I am leading this because I have to lead it. Don't lead it back to me. I don't want it. I don't have anything here. A top 8 says, I'm leading this kind of under duress. I have to lead something. All right? Low, leading low. I lead low from something, which means I want you to go third hand high and I want it coming back to me. All right? That's why once you've determined the suit, you have to determine which card. So there's 2 parts to the leading, the suit and which card. And 8 says, don't lead it back to me. I don't want it. Yeah.
I'm totally confused
I am
because
too.
I thought the 8 would say, lead it back to me.
Boston.
No, Boston.
Boston.
Yeah.
Yep, Boston.
Just think Boston when you're leading. Bottom of something, top of nothing.
Also, you're leading, you're not discarding.
Right. And that's the difference too. And that's something, this is a very common confusion point. I've done this class a lot of times, believe me. I've gotten the same confusion every single time. There is a difference, and it's confusing about discarding and leading. 2 completely different things. If you're discarding and you put the 8 on there, that's a positive. I like it. If you get in, lead it to me. So it's actually the opposite, right? If you're discarding, 8 is good, unless you play some weird system, but we're playing standard. 8 is good. If you put the 2 on there, I don't have anything, I have no help for you, don't continue this suit. Okay, that's discarding or
Responding.
well, not responding, but playing a card to a trick. Signaling. Signaling would be the correct word. Signaling, okay? So if your partner leads the ace, because they got the ace king, because they have the king when they lead the ace, right? Yes, they have the king when they lead the ace. If you put the 8 on there, that means partner, continue with the king. If you put the 2 on there, it says don't lead something else, okay? So that's when you're signaling, discarding, or playing to a trick. Okay? Leading is when you're the one leading the suit. Okay? And when you are going to lead, you lead low from something. Bottom of something. Low from something. If you lead the 8, top of nothing. Don't lead it back. I don't want it. This is all I got. Find something else to do. Okay? So what you're doing when you're leading the suit, because remember, when you win a trick, you have to lead to the next one, even if you don't want to. Okay? So you have to determine again what suit and then which card, because you want to send the right message to your partner when you lead the suit. Just because you lead it doesn't mean you want it back. You just let it so you didn't do any harm. Okay? All right? So we would lead the 4 of hearts in this, and lo and behold, our wonderful partner shows up with the ace. And because we led the 4, he is going to return it to us. Okay? If you had led the 8, he might return a diamond or something, trying to force the ace off the board. You see the difference? So because you led the 4, he is going to return it. So he has now got the 9 and the 5 of hearts. What card does he lead?
9.
The 9, because he's got nothing else in his suit.
Top of nothing.
Top of nothing. All right? So he's going to lead the 9, so you, being the you person, now knows where the 10 is, right? Because your partner just led the 9. If he had the 10, he would lead the 10, right? Okay, so you know that, but it doesn't make any difference because he is leading the 9 through the declarer's Queen Little, which is all he's got left, into your King Jack. You know what that means? Down 1, baby. Down 1. Good defense. And the declarer couldn't do a darn thing about it. Okay? All right? But again, he started with the diamond lead because that was his thought process that this would be a possible good defensive plan. But once dummy comes down and things materialize a little better, his partner kicked in and says, I've got a better plan. Okay? And that's working together. And that's why it's important which card you lead, because it's telling your partner how to proceed with the defense. Okay? Take a look at the next one. Okay? Again. All right, again, and this is all very practical defense. This stuff happens in every game you play in. You might not see it, but it's there. Okay?
That's where you might not be doing it.
Well, that's why we're taking a class, right? Okay, so here you've got the same bidding. Okay, 1 spade, 2 clubs, 2 spades, 4 spades. But this time, you know, the lead's a little different. This time you lead the ace because you have the ace and the king. Okay? So dummy comes down. Okay. What card do you as the East player put on there?
4 or 2?
2.
It would be the 2. Do you want your partner to continue playing hearts? No. Do you don't have a doubleton, so you can't trump. You don't have the queen. If he plays the king, it will make declarer's queen good. And you know that because you know you don't have it. So you tell him, no, don't continue. Yes?
Can he signal with if you look at what the next lead ought to be, it's clear it
Okay.
should be
The thing is you can only signal one thing at a time.
okay.
Okay? So when your partner has led the ace, you are signaling for him to continue or not. So high one, keep it coming. Low one,
Gotcha, okay.
switch. Okay? Now that changes, and I'll just when dummy comes down and there's like a singleton in dummy, right? Singleton. So he can rough the next one. It's quite obvious that your partner, well, most of the time, is not going to continue with the king, right? Right? Because there's a singleton. So that now that he's played his ace, there's none of them in dummy. So declarer can rough it, right? So it's kind of like you don't need to be a brain surgeon for your partner to figure out maybe leading the king not the best move in this situation, okay? So now it switches to not whether to continue because it's obvious he's not going to continue. Now you're going to try to help him figure out which suit to lead to. So now, which card you put on that is a suit preference. So it switches. Does that make sense? And the difference is because in this particular hand, it is not obvious to your partner whether he should continue with the ace of hearts or not. He's looking for your help to tell him. 7 yes, 2 no. Okay? If that comes down and dummy comes down and there's only 1 heart in dummy and trump, it's obvious that he's not going to continue hearts. So now he's going to look to you for some guidance. He knows he's going to switch. He's going to look to you for some guidance for which suit to switch to. And that's when now it's not whether you're going to, now your 7 and 2 is no longer continue, not continue. It's which suit to switch to, higher or lower. Okay?
Compare the 2 remaining suits.
Right, and it does include trump, it does not
Right,
include.
doesn't include trump.
Okay? So if there was a singleton heart and dummy and you put the 7 on there, it would mean switch to a diamond. If you put the 2 on there, it means switch to a club. Okay?
Does it make reasonable sense that you knows my partner doesn't have any hearts? Because I have the ace, king, jack, and the 10 is on the board. So I know my partner doesn't have any hearts really to speak of, right?
But he has 3.
No, I know he has 3, but not that the don't continue. You figure you're gonna get a don't continue signal from your partner.
Well, what if he had 3
What
to
if
the
he has,
queen?
what if he has 3 to the queen?
Right.
And you wouldn't get a don't continue, you'd get a continue signal.
Okay.
Okay? And he could as easily had the queen of hearts as he could the queen of diamonds.
Good point.
Okay? So again, we don't know. All right? But the idea is, if he says not to, now in this particular case, declare only has 2 hearts. Give him 3 hearts to the queen. If he says, don't continue, and you play your king anyway, well, you have now just set up the queen of hearts in declarer's hand because you had to take that king. Listen to your partner. I'm telling you, it's really important.
Yeah, that is really important because if you just look at this hand, if you take that 5 away from dummy and put it down in declarer's hand, right, and you lead the ace of hearts, and it comes down and you just see 10-6 in dummy, your inclination is to continue with the king, no matter what your partner says, because you see 2 little ones, and then he's going to ruff. I better take my ace and my king. Right? That's important, right? Your partner's going to tell you whether to do that or not.
Now, in this particular case, you happen to have the ace of diamonds, but if those were 2 little diamonds in dummy and your partner had the ace, the declarer the ace, if you continue, he can now pull trump, play his queen, right? Discarding a diamond from dummy, and then you don't get a diamond trick. And that's the thing that people don't realize. They're like, well, I got my king, but the thing is, but you didn't get that other diamond or whatever it is, because you set up the queen of that suit in declarer's hand, so he was able to discard something in dummy on it. And that thing that he discards in dummy was your trick, okay? Whereas if you just switch suits because your partner told you, now when your partner eventually gets in, he will lead the heart through declarer's queen into your king jack. You still get your king, but declarer didn't get his queen. And that's an important trick.
And you still get your diamond.
And you still get your diamond, yes.
In this case, 2 diamonds.
Yeah, well, yeah. I'm just saying, it's here, you've got the ace queen. But yeah, if he discards a diamond, then you only get 1 diamond trick. So you can see what happens there. Okay? Again, but what I was getting to, Mike, is that the signal can only mean one thing. You can't give suit preference and a continuation at the same time. It can only mean one thing. So if there's not a singleton in dummy where it's obvious he's going to switch, you're telling your partner whether to continue or not. If there's a singleton or something, or a void in dummy, and it's obvious he's going to switch, it's helping him get some idea on what suit to switch to. Okay? Let's just see. Okay, so in this one, yeah.
In this one, you continue with the king of hearts.
Well, that's what it says, but you shouldn't. If your partner, because again, we don't know if there's 3 to the queen or not. So he says we don't know if our partner's got another heart or not. No, just switch. Your partner will lead it back to you, okay? If your partner says switch, switch. So where it says continues to lead the king, that's just bad. okay? All right, because he's not gonna get in again to give you enough roughs to warrant setting up the declarer's queen. So if you put the 2 on there, he is going to switch. He doesn't know what to switch to. He has to figure it out. Okay. Well, I think we all agree that if you're going to get a spade contract, you're going to get a spades trick, you're going to get it on your own. You don't need any help from that. And I think it's pretty obvious we're probably not going to switch to a club. Do we all kind of agree on that one? So I think we can figure out on our own that if we're going to switch to a diamond, right? So if we switch to a diamond, what are we going to switch to?
The 2?
The 2 is a possibility, but I would more likely lead the 8. I hate to throw the 10 out there, but I don't really want my partner to think I've got something and return this to me. The 10 is so, right? I would probably lead the 8, but you could make a legitimate case for every card except the 6. Okay? You could make a legitimate,
And that's the top of nothing, that's part
the
of
8, the top of nothing. Even though you have the 10, it's counted as nothing really. Okay? But again, so you could, whether you leave the 2, the 8, or the 10, you could make a case for any of them, and nobody's going to beat you up about it. What you can't lead is the 6, because that just doesn't make any sense. Okay? So it would be the 2, the 10, or the 8. Anyway, you're going to lead a diamond because nothing else makes sense. Your partner will now get their ace and their queen of diamonds. Now, you led the ace of hearts, but you stopped because they told you to. So what will you return after you take your 2 diamond tricks?
the heart.
The heart. Okay? All right? And he will still get his king of hearts that he was so worried about. Does that make sense? Okay? So it's about a plan, working with your partner. Does that make sense? I mean, this kind of stuff, this is very, very good stuff. And this happens a lot. And I will tell you, because I play in the B section sometimes when I'm filling in. And just the other day, I was over there and somebody complimented me on my wonderful play. Well, it was pretty good. But I wasn't going to tell them, well, the fact that you gave me all these free tricks is what did it. Because that would be rude, and I would never do that. All right? But they gave me all these free tricks, and that's why I made the contract. All right? Because they continue with their king, set up my queen, I discarded the trick, then they led into something. So it was very bad defense, and I was really hoping that those people would come into my defense class. You know, you see this when you're the declarer because you know what will hurt you and what will help you. And when the defense does something that helps you, you know, again, you don't say anything because that's rude and everybody makes mistakes, we all do, but it doesn't mean you're not going to capitalize on them, you know. So I said, well, thank you very much, and went on to the next one, you know. So it's really important that you pay attention to your partner. Signaling is very important. And Steve and I, it's one thing that we might make a lot of mistakes, but we're pretty darn good on defense. Okay, take a look at the next one. All right, now we're on page 335. That's talking about giving the right signal, okay? So here, they're in 2 spades, okay? And they're in 2 spades, so you need 5 tricks, okay? No, you need 6, you need 6. Okay, so your partner leads the ace of hearts. Well, that's good, because that's the obvious lead from that hand. They're in 2 spades, right? The bidding went 1 spade. I don't know how it went, but anyway, they're in 2 spades. Okay, so declares south, and he's in 2 spades, so you're going to get the ace of hearts lead, which is quite obvious. Okay, now what card does the you person play on the ace of hearts?
The 9.
Two.
No, the 9.
Well, let's think about this. What is our defensive plan? All right? We have to think about, do we want our partner to continue with the heart?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think it would be more beneficial for my side if he switched to a diamond.
Oh, through the ace and the queen.
Because if he continues with the heart, what's going to happen? He's going to play the king, and then he's going to lead a little heart to your queen, and you're going to be on lead. How does that help defense? See? It's about a defensive plan, so you have to think about the whole picture. Right? I know, isn't it fun though? Right? Because again, getting your 3 heart tricks is not going to set the contract. Getting your 3 heart tricks 2 diamonds and a club, that'll do it, okay? So what you would wanna do is you'd want to discourage your partner to say, no, don't continue.
That would be here too.
That would be the 2. So even though you have the queen, what you want defensively is for your partner to switch to a diamond. Now the 2 does not tell him to switch to a diamond. It tells him to not continue with the king of hearts. That's what it says. That's all it says. The rest he's on his own, yes.
I thought that it said bottom of something and that you were signaling you'd have the queen.
You were.
That's leading.
Oh my God.
So what we already learned about the whole queen thing, just forget that, because.
Well, no, don't forget that. That's very important.
In this particular case.
But don't forget that, okay? It's just a different plan.
Right.
Okay? The idea is you're having to tell your partner, because he doesn't know what to do. All he can see is the ace and king of hearts, right? He doesn't have any other clue on what's going on, all right? So that's why you have all the defensive points, right? So it's up to you to guide your partner into making the proper proper defensive plan, because you're the one with the points and you know what the defensive plan should be. If you get in and have to lead a diamond, that is not going to be good for your side, okay? And if you can see, your partner, the declarer, can set up those clubs and discard all his diamonds, and they don't be able to trump the diamonds, okay? He won't have to take the finesse, all right? Yes?
So, I guess the next question is, what of the 2 minor suits do you lead?
Yes.
And there used to be a kind of axiom, you lead, if in doubt, lead to the strength of the dummy.
Well, again, and it's not if in doubt, it's definitely, the thing is that you want to lead through strength and into weakness. So,
They're both kind of strong.
Yeah, which one do you pick?
right, but which one do you have a better chance of getting setting tricks in? Right, the diamonds, okay? All right, so what you would want to do, okay, is you would switch to a diamond. So, because we're not going to switch to a club, because that doesn't really make sense to us, because all we would be doing is, if our partner does have the ace of clubs, that's fine, but what have we accomplished if our partner takes his ace of clubs? We've set up a whole bunch of club tricks for the declarer to discard good stuff on, all right? So if we lead a diamond, even if our partner has the ace of clubs, now is the time we have to get our diamond tricks, okay? So we would switch to a diamond, because you wouldn't switch to a spade because there's just no point. Remember, it's about defense. And when you see that nice suit and dummy all ready to be set up, you have to get your tricks before he can set them up and use them to discard stuff. Okay? So we're going to switch to a diamond. Okay, so now we're going to switch to a diamond. What card do we lead?
7, top of nothing.
The 7. That's right, top of nothing. Partner, I'm leading this. Do not give it back to me. I don't want it. Okay? So you lead the 7, which is just going to make your partner giddy. Right? Okay, because no matter what now, he'll be able to get a diamond trick. So let's see. He's going to still get, let's see. So if he plays the king, so if he plays little, you'll win your jab. Well, actually, yeah, you win your jab. Because again, when your partner leads the 7, we know that the declarer has the 10. Okay. All right. So now what happens? So we need our partner to be able to lead diamonds twice, right? So let's just go through this. Our partner leads the 7. Let's just say declarer plays the 8, and we would play the jack, which would win. Well, we don't want to lead diamonds again, do we all agree? So what would we do now?
You take your queen of hearts.
Who do I need to be in? Well, I need my partner to be in to lead diamonds again, right? He should be able to figure out that this was a good lead when your jack won. Do we all agree?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, let's give him some, brain synapses here. Our jack won. He should figure out that he hit the nail on the head. That was a good lead, right? So now you're going to lead back your 9. It's only, you're not gonna throw the queen away, because remember, we want our partner to, get in. So he's gonna lead the 9, and your partner, Jack, wins. Now, is he gonna play the king right now? Well, he really shouldn't, right? His king's there, but he really shouldn't, because what he wants to do is he wants to put you in again with the diamond. So he's gonna switch. Whether he plays his king or not, he's gonna switch to a diamond, right? Now the declarer can come up with their ace if they want, but you are still gonna get in with the ace of clubs and can take your king of diamonds, and then your king of queen of hearts. Right? Does that make sense?
No, they're gonna trump those hearts eventually.
Well, not until after you get 3 of them.
That's true.
Okay? The important thing is that the you person, the guy at East, saw the benefit of having his partner lead diamonds. And so guided the defense in order for his partner to lead diamonds. Now you might say this is some kind of highfalutin fancy. No, it's not. This is really basic and it happens every day at the bridge table. It really, really, really does. But only with practice and paying attention. All right, if your partner's not paying attention, you're hosed anyway. Okay, all right? But you can see how important that is. And I think we went through that. Yeah, so we went through that one. Okay, so you can see how important that is, yes.
So when you're discarding a card, you're either discouraging or encouraging them to lead that suit again?
Mm-hmm. When they've led it,
Okay, or when are you indicating which suit you want them to change to? How do you?
Well, it's only gonna be which suit you want it to change to when it's obvious they're gonna switch, or when you're given a, it's called suit preference. So they've led the ace and a singleton comes down. They're not gonna continue it.
Okay.
It switches to
So
suit
it's
preference
as
because
you're
they're
playing.
obviously not.
Okay.
The other time it's suit preference is when your partner's led a singleton and you've determined that you're gonna give him a ruff,
Yeah.
and then you're gonna give him a suit preference to tell him how to get back to you for another ruff, okay? Those are as far as I know, you can think of right off the top of my head, those are the only 2 times it's suit preference. Unless you have some kind of special agreement or something. But more often than the rest of the time, it's gonna be continue, not continue.
Okay.
Okay? So I did go through that, and I went through that whole thing. That's what the page is, going through it. If you want to review that, that's what page 336 is just describing that defense that we went through. But again, stopping to think about making a defensive plan before you immediately play. So you know how when the declarer, and when I say, don't pull a card from dummy, let the declarer make their plan, dummy comes down, the defenders at that point should be thinking about their defensive plan too. Now, the lead has already been made because it's made before you see dummy. And the lead might have been this defensive plan. Doesn't mean we have to continue with that defensive plan. This is a defensive plan without seeing dummy. It may change to plan B, C, or D. Okay? If you take a look at the next one now on page 37, okay? Now this is what I was talking about for those of you who were here on Tuesday playing, thinking about points and how many points that people have, okay? So if you take a look, they get to 4 spades, and you have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 points. So, do we think our partner's gonna give us a lot of help on defense? No, right? And we can know that before dummy comes down, before we make our opening lead. We have to be able to say, they're in 4, I have 12 points, my partner's gotta have buckets over there.
Am I the you in East?
You're the you.
Okay.
You're always the you person making the defensive plan, okay? All right, now, as the you person, so the partner person, the West person, figures out that his partner's got bupkis, right? Okay? The you person also knows he's got bupkis because he can see it, okay? So he knows that all of the defensive points for this hand are in our partner's hand. And that is something that's really important, because Do you want your partner to lead anything to you at all?
No.
No. Because anytime he leads low from something, he is going to be helping your side or the declarer side? The declarers. All right? And this is something, so when sometimes people are like, well, I have nothing, so I can't. You can help. This hand, you don't have a point in your hand, and you can help your partner. Believe it or not, set this contract. Okay, so you're now the partner person. What card, what suit do you lead? What's your opening lead?
Wait, I'm sorry, start over, who's
Okay,
the leader?
they're in the partner.
Partner.
The partner sitting in west
Okay.
is on lead against a 4-spade contract. What card are they gonna lead as the opening lead?
Jack of Hearts.
The Jack of Hearts, okay? Now, again, they could lead the 4 of diamonds or the 5 of clubs low from something, but think about it. The idea of leading low from something is for your partner to go third hand high and return it to you, right? High card from the short side, that's what you're doing. So how many high cards do you think partner's gonna be able to put up there to help you?
0.
Right? So you can see, just thinking logically, because I bet most of you never really thought about it in that manner, okay? Every time you lead away from something, you are helping not our side, but the declarer side. So you want to make the least helpful lead you can for the declarer. That's why top of sequences are great, okay? So we would lead the Jack, all right? Now, there's a good chance that we would continue with this suit, even if our partner doesn't do something. But they're going to play the ace, let's say, on dummy. And why would they play the ace instead of letting it ride around to the queen? Because, again, you've led the Jack. They could win with the ace and dummy or the queen in our hand. Why would we choose the ace and dummy? Does anybody know?
Maybe the lead a spade through to your king trumpet.
Because you'd want to lead a spade from the board towards your high cards, okay? Leading a spade from your hand to the 9 is really not going to help you, okay? What you're hoping is you're going to lead a spade towards your king 10, hoping that the ace is over here. No, it's not, it's defense class, okay? But you would try, and that's why you would take the ace on the board, because you need to be in dummy to get there. You wouldn't want to lead to your queen and then back up to the ace, because at some point somebody might be trumping these things, okay? So you want to be in dummy, take the ace and dummy. You're there, that's where you wanted to be. Now lead your spades, okay? Okay, so they led the Jack, and the ace is played, ace of hearts is played from dummy, and now we're over here with the you person.
8.
What card do you play? Do you want him to continue hearts, or do you want him to switch?
Switch.
What do you want him to switch to?
Clubs.
Would that help your side?
You can continue with hearts.
You want him to continue hearts. You don't want him to switch to anything. So just give him the 8. Say, keep it on, it's okay. All right? You don't want him to switch. Remember, all you're saying is switch, not switch. That's all you're saying, switch, not switch. Does that make sense? I'm going to tell you that this is probably something that you have never thought about in your entire lives. Because it's thinking defense. It's thinking pure defense. Who's got what? How do we set the contract? Right? I got nothing. I don't want my partner to lead anything to me. I want him to just keep leading those hearts because I don't want to give anything away. Because as soon as he switches and leads a different suit, all he's doing is help declare and make their contract. And that's not your goal. So it's something different, right? But again, it's about the defensive plan. And so it's really just changing the way you think. It makes sense, right? It's just turning your head around and really thinking defensively and thinking about what's in your hand and what's in your partner. Now, this guy over here could get the idea to continue hearts on his own without your help. But again, you've got nothing in your hand. Help your partner the best you can. Okay? And you can see what's going to happen is, at some point, Declare is gonna have to take a finesse here somewhere to a jack, and your partner's gonna get in with their queens. And get those tricks. So they'll get 3 spade tricks and at least 1 queen, which means they will not make their contract.
So in that case, if you, after the capture of the king with the second or third.
Oh, uh-huh.
Do you might as well take your spade?
Well, that doesn't hurt. If he leads low to the king, right, and you take your ace, or your queen, your jack, yeah, doesn't hurt at all to take the spades.
Okay.
But then once you take your spades, you're gonna wanna continue the hearts.
Gotcha.
Because if you switch to anything else, it will give him his jacks, and you will not get your queen, and he will still make his contract, because then all you'll get is the 3 spade tricks.
And he knows this because the you person,
Told him to continue hearts.
told him.
Again, he's gotta know that you don't have any points anyway, and would figure that continuing hearts is not a bad thing, but if you help him, it just makes it so much easier. Because, and I'm sure you've all seen it, and again, because I'm telling you, you've seen it. Everybody this guy who's on lead just keeps switching suits trying to find his partner. And every time he switches suits, he gives Declare another free trick. Okay? And it happens all the time. I'm still trying to find my partner. Don't try to find him. He's got nothing. You know? So just keep with your plan. Don't switch suits. I actually gave a class on that once about not switching suits. Okay. All right. All right. So we talked about that. And again, we're going to, it's all about working together on it. We've got another example on page 338. I'm telling you, this is the really good stuff. Don't you think this is good? Don't you find this helpful?
But how to remember it?
Well, the only way you remember it is by practicing. And there's no other way. You can read every book in the world, but if you don't practice and play, it will just go poof. Because it's the mind is, you gotta play it. You just gotta play it, and you gotta screw up a lot. And then you talk to your partner, you know, I missed your signal, I'm sorry, you know, I appreciate you doing it, you know, that type of thing. Yeah.
And it's remembering the signal of that 8 when Dummy wins and then starts playing all these other cards, and then you get back and you have to remember, oh, 5 cards ago, that was the 8.
Well, but again, when you lead a suit, you should be looking to see what your partner says right then. And so that's going to store it. Oh, he liked it, he didn't. That's all. You don't have to necessarily remember what card, but it was a good or a bad.
Okay.
Okay? Yes, dear.
So I think defense is the hardest thing, right? Because, you know, play of the hand, bidding, that's kind of just, remember, this requires a lot more complex thought.
And watching.
And watching and paying attention and thinking about it. So my suggestion is when you finish this class, take your defense book and keep it in your bathroom. And a highlighter. Right? And just read a chapter while you're sitting there. Right? It'll just
Or a few
because like you
pages
said,
for the
right?
rest of us.
You say, how do I? Because sometimes practicing doesn't help if you can't remember to practice.
That is a good point, Steve.
Right.
It's
So we're talking about concepts here, and if you sit at the table and you can't remember this concept, you can practice all day long, you're not going to remember it. You have to come back to the book and remind yourself, oh, that's right, if I've got nothing, I want to continue the suit, right? That's not something that you can just remember, but when you're in the bathroom, just reread this chapter, or reread another chapter. It helps. I have a copy in my bathroom.
He does, I swear. Okay. Okay, so let's take a look at another example. Bottom of page 338. Okay? I know I'm getting there, but these are such good stuff. This is just such good stuff. Okay, so they're in a 2-heart contract. And we are the U person sitting west. We have the opening lead. What do you think we're going to lead? We've got nothing to go on. It was 1 heart, 2 hearts, pass, pass, pass. 10 of diamonds, top of the sequence. I'm saying, do not pass up the top of the sequence. That's it. Okay, so let's just see. Oh my gosh, your partner is just like happy as, right?
Oh, get out.
That 10, right? Okay, so what do they play if the 7 is called from dummy? What does East play if Declare plays the 7?
Oh, they play the 5 and let it win.
They have 5. Now, is your partner going to think the 5 is a discouraging card? Possibly, but is 10 just 1?
Yeah.
That doesn't happen too often if that wasn't a good lead, right? So he's gonna continue, okay? So 7, he can play any card he wants, now they're all the same, but just to be consistent, I would play the 9, okay? And look what happens, now your partner can take his 2 diamond tricks. Okay, so you've already got 3 diamond tricks. If we're counting, that's 3, okay? But we still need 3 more, right? Okay, so what do you think we might lead after we've taken our 3rd diamond trick? We're in us, so we have the 10, 9, 2 of spades, the king, 4 of hearts, and the 10, 7, 6, 4, 2 of clubs.
The 10 of spades, top of the C clubs?
Top of touching honor, sure. All right, we're going to play the 10 of spades because we're going to lead into the weakness of the board. See, the dummy just has a 7, 6, 3. So if there's any spade tricks to be had, they're in our partner's hands, correct? So it doesn't make any sense for us really to lead a club. Are we going to try to set up our 10? I don't think so. There's only 3 of them in dummy and he's got 10. Okay? Diamonds are gone. I mean, leading a heart from our king of hearts, that doesn't make a lot of sense, right? So spade would be the lead. And spade is really good because there's no spades in dummy. Leading into the weakness of the board means you're leading through the perceived strength in Declare's hand. Right? We can't see it, but since there's no good spades on dummy, the good spades for the declarer side should be in his hand. So we're going to switch to a spade. Okay, so then once we've decided we're going to switch to a spade, what card we play tells our partner what we have in this suit. So if we leave the 10 of spades, top of touching cards, right? Do you think our partner's going to figure out that we don't have the ace, king, queen, or jack?
Right.
Pretty good, right? Probably. Okay, so we're going to leave the 10 of spades. Now look at how good that works. Good golly. There they are, king, jack, little, and our partner's ace, queen. So we just did to declare in spades what our partner did to declare in diamonds. We're just so mean, okay? All right, but we led the diamond before we saw dummy, and we lead the spade without knowing what's in declarer's hand. But it still worked. Now, it's quite possible that declarer has all the spades, but then they probably would be a little higher than 2 hearts too. Remember, they're only in 2 because they don't want to go any higher than 2, which means there's defensive points.
And they didn't say anything about spades.
No, well, no, because they're just, yeah, okay? Does that make sense? So you see how it works, all right? By thinking about which suit to lead, and then once you've determined the suit, which card to lead within the suit, okay? Take a look at the next one, and the bidding goes, I hate it when they put the bidding on a different page. It's 1 heart, and north bids 1 heart, we're passing, south bids 1 no trump, pass, pass, pass. Okay, so everybody, before you turn the page, from the bidding, describe South's hand.
6 to 9, minimal heart.
6 to 9 points. How many hearts does he have?
Minimal, 2 maybe, 1, 2.
Well, if he has 3, he wouldn't bid 1 no, he'd bid 2 hearts,
Okay.
1
right? So he's got 2 or less hearts. How many spades does he have?
Well, at least 2.
4 or less.
Okay, well, you
Less than 4.
less than 4?
Because,
You would have done if you had.
okay, everybody remember Boston, I just erased it. Okay? It went 1 heart, 1 no trump. If this guy has 4 spades, isn't his first obligation to bid 1 spade? Okay, so we know, all is it, so he's got less than 2 hearts,
Less than 3 hearts.
less than 3 hearts, less than 4 spades, and then some amount of clubs and diamonds, and 6 to 9 points, okay?
So he's got 8 cards in the minors.
Well, we don't know, because he could have a singleton heart.
At least,
Huh?
at least 8 cards in minors. At least, because
Okay.
the most he can have is 5 in the majors.
Okay, well, that's true, that's better math than mine, yes, you're right, okay? All right, but so, when you're gonna make the opening lead, though, that's what you wanna think about. Because you're visualizing, even before dummy comes down, because we also know that this guy here has 5 hearts, because if he had 6, he would have rebidden.
Yeah.
We also know he has a minimum fairly balanced hand. If he had a second suit, he'd have bid it. He's also got a minimum because he passed his partner's one no trump. So all of that information is available to you before you make your opening lead. So now let's go look at our hand here. Okay. So we're going to make an opening lead to one no trump, and we've got this hand. Hey, look at that. He's got only 2 hearts and only 3 spades. How about that? We figured that out even before we could see the hand, right? Just by thinking it through. I do that every hand, I'm telling you. Every hand. Because I like to try to visualize what everybody's got. And by figuring out, like if nobody bids spades here and I got a single spade, well, my partner's got spades. Because I can do the math, you know? And you think those things through. So here we are, and we're on defense, and we need 7 tricks, right? Because they're in one no. And we can see 2 of them. We got 2 aces. So what would we lead on this hand to one no trump? What would we lead as West? Top of page 340.
Jack of spades with the 4 of hearts.
Okay. Which do you think would be the best lead?
I'd say the jack of spades.
The jack of spades, top of the sequence, because you are hopefully promoting a trick, okay? The 4 of hearts, your partner might have something, but you're not going to promote a lot of tricks from that. So the jack of sequence will automatically start in progress the defensive plan, okay?
Excuse me?
Yes, ma'am.
So we don't always lead 4th from the longest and strongest on a no trump.
That's
Nope.
your second choice.
That's my second
Well-
Your
choice.
first choice is top of the sequence.
Okay.
Generally speaking. Now, if you have a long suit that with a bunch of entries and you think you can promote that suit, like it's got, you know, some honors in it, not 5 to the 9, but King, Jack, 10 or something, you could certainly lead that too. It's whatever you think would be the best defensive plan to get enough tricks for your side to set the contract.
Thank you.
It's not always one or always the other, okay? But here, you have a better shot of setting up a trick by leading the top of the sequence, using your 2 aces as entries into your hand to do it, okay? All right, so let's take a look at the declares plan. So let's see. So he's going to try to set up hearts, and we can see the spades and dummy, and declare wins the ace. So we've got, but we can definitely get a spade trick because our declare played the ace, and we can now force out the king and the queen to promote our 10. Do we all agree?
Yeah.
We have the ace of hearts as an entry. That's good. Okay. All right. So declare's going to start. He's going to play. He won the ace in his hand because he needed to preserve his entries in spades to set up his hearts. So he's going to play high card from the short side. He's going to play the queen of hearts. What do we play if we're the West hand on the queen of hearts?
4.
We play second hand low, right? Second hand low. The ace is not going anywhere. You're going to get it. Okay? Okay. And let's just see here. So, well, your partner's going to win the king. Well, that's exciting because there's no reason to hold up, right? He's still got entries. He's always got the spade entries, and he's only got 2. The you person only has 2 hearts, so we'll take our king of hearts. So, what are we going to lead next?
A spade.
We're going to lead a spade, right? Because our partner led the spade. So even though the king and the queen are there, remember our partner led the jack.
And
We
9.
know he's got the 10 and the 9. Okay? So we're going to lead a spade back. We also know from the bidding that the declarer has 3 or less spades, which means our partner has 4 or 5 spades. Okay, depending, all right? Does everybody see that? So we can do that defensively, think that through. So we would want to lead a spade while we're in. So we're going to lead a spade into dummy's king or queen. And he's going to now lead a diamond. Why would he lead a diamond? That doesn't make sense. But he's gonna. Okay, wait a second, hold on. No, that
You
doesn't.
can take hearts, wouldn't you? Because he's-
Yeah, you can still be leading hearts. Okay, okay. Yeah, he's He's gonna lead a heart. I don't understand. I mean, he's gonna lead another heart. I don't know why he wouldn't. Okay. All right. So so now your partner's gonna play the ace, okay? And he's gonna lead another spade because that gives him a spade trick and a club trick when he gets in with the ace of clubs. Do we all agree? Did I lose anybody? So we're gonna have 1, 2, 3. All right. So I don't think that's right. No, that's what, this is what happens.
Their defense plan is different, so they're saying not to lead the heart, not to lead the spade back.
Right.
That you have to switch to a diamond on trick.
Right. And that's what I knew there was a diamond led, and I'm like, why would declare be leading it? No, you would be leading it. Okay. So take a look here. Yes, you want to help your partner set up the spades, but take a look at the diamond holding. All right. Again, it's about the defensive plan. So we got the king of hearts. We want to get a couple of diamonds. We know our partner has led the jack of spades, so we know he's got a spade trick over there at some point. But we need to tell him to lead a diamond. Now, how many diamond tricks are we entitled to, and how many diamond tricks is the declarer entitled to?
We get 2 and they get 1.
Right. But as long as it's led, right? But they are entitled to 1 diamond trick. Okay? So here's the thing. So you could certainly lead another spade and signal to your partner to lead a diamond, if you think that through. Or you can say, you know what? I want to get in, I want to tell my partner to lead a diamond, so I will lead a diamond now, giving declarer his diamond trick. But then if my partner gets in, he will now know to lead a diamond back to me. Does everybody see that?
And then you
I
get
think you might want to put that one on the board.
Okay, I'll put that one on the board.
And which diamond would you leave?
Well, we want our partner to return it to us, correct?
Yeah.
So we would lead low. Okay, so here, let me just put this up. So we got like 3 little spades, and we have the king, little of hearts, and we have ace, queen, little of diamonds, and then we have something close, right?
3 little clubs.
3 little clubs. Okay, so the jack of spades was led. Okay, and we've got in diamonds, let's see, so we've got king, queen,
Queen's
little.
yeah.
And we've got, what do we have in hearts?
There's
Jack 10.
5 to the jack 10, 9, 8.
Jack 10, 9.
8, 5. Yep. King, jack 10.
And some.
King, 8. King, little.
Okay? All right, does everybody see this? Okay, so our partner led the jack of spades. And so, he won the ace and dummy, and then we immediately started and he led the hearts. So he led the queen of hearts, and we get in. Okay? So we can see the king jack here. Now we know that we've got 1 heart trick. At some point our partner should get a spade trick. Hopefully our partner has something else because they're only in 1 no, right? So they're in 1 no, which means, generally speaking, when you're in 1 no, the points are pretty split, which means your partner has some points, okay. But we need our partner to lead a diamond. This guy is always entitled to a diamond trick because he's got the king, jack, 10. We can get the ace, queen, but he's always going to get 1. So if we say, you know, it's kind of like take your losers early when you're making your plan. Sometimes you want to set up a suit and you say, well, I have to give them a trick, so give it to them early. So if we lead a little one, doesn't have to be 4th down, low, which would be the 2. The 2 of diamonds, into the king, jack, 10, we will be giving declarer a trick. His trick anyway. But we have led the 2. Okay? So our partner started with a plan of setting up spades, and we have said, well, I think I might have a better plan. Setting up my diamonds. Okay? So he leads a little diamond into the king, jack, 10, giving declarer his diamond trick early. But now, your partner's going to get in. He's going to get in with the ace of clubs or the ace of hearts. And he's going to say, well, why did my partner lead the 2 of diamonds? Oh, Boston. That's low from something. Bottom of something, right? So when he gets in with one of those aces, what's he going to return? His diamond. His last diamond. But what happens when he does that? Well, your partner just got 4 more diamond tricks. So that's 4 diamonds, plus 2 hearts, and you still have the ace of clubs coming. I don't think he made his contract. Okay, but again, and that's why I got sidetracked, because I knew the key was diamonds. I'm sorry, I read it this morning, I just didn't pick up on it. Is we start with one defensive plan, but then we switch, okay? And let me, I'm sorry I'm going so slow, it's just such good stuff, but we'll play a little late. So, take a look at the next one, again, they're in 3-no trump, okay? And,
Debbie,
yes,
this one at the door?
oh, that's Nick, he has a key, well, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, thank you. Okay, so again, we're in 3-no trump, your partner has led the Queen of Hearts. You can talk to him about that thing, by the way, okay? Your partner has led the Queen of Hearts. Does everybody see that? Okay? Now again, we're talking about guidelines and defensive plans. So your partner has led the Queen of Hearts against a 3-no trump contract. So we don't have that many points on defense because they're in 3-no. All right, it's different than the 1-no. All right, but our partner has led the Queen of Diamonds, Queen of Hearts. All right? And so we know that the Declarer has the ace and the king between the 2 hands, right? So let's say he wins the King of Hearts and dummy, all right? And he plays a diamond. Do we play second hand low?
No,
Okay, and why?
Because you wanna.
because you wanna let your partner know you've got the ace, just in case they have the king, and they got a low.
Well, there again, they didn't lead it, so we're not sure that he cares. But you're on the right track. The idea is we've got limited points, defensive points between the 2 of us, right? So that means that our partner led the hearts. We only have 2 of them. We've got to get the other heart honor out while he still has hopefully another entry. So if we come up with our ace of diamonds really quick, because we've only got 3, there's only got 3, our partner's got to have some diamonds, okay? So we'll come up with the ace. Normally we play second hand low, but we don't want our partner to win this trick, because remember, he's going to have limited entries. We both have limited defensive tricks. That's why they're in 3-no. So if we come up with our ace quickly, we can now lead a heart right away.
Right there.
All right? Our partner can overtake and keep leading hearts until he forces the other heart honor out. But then look how brilliant you were. His other entry happens to be in diamonds. We didn't know where it was. Okay? But once he gets in with his other entry, he can now take the rest of his heart tricks. So again, this is going back to that whole counting points. This time they're in 3-no trump. So we're not going to have a lot of defensive tricks in the other suits. But we do know, because our partner led the queen, he's got the jack and the 10, and we're hoping that he has some more. Okay? And so our defensive plan would be then not to play second hand low, but we want to get in so we can lead our partner's heart right away. Does that make sense? Again, you have to think in advance on that. Okay? But it's not about just getting one trick, it's about the whole defensive plan. I'm going to go over one more, and then we'll go on playing, okay? This time, okay, take a look. This time, they're in 6 hearts. They got to 6 hearts. Oh, good for them. Okay? Now take a look. This one is a little thinking outside of the box. But again, let's think about this. You are the you person, West, and you want to set 6 hearts. You had high hopes because the guy on your right bid hearts for your ace and king of spades and the king of hearts. Didn't we agree? Mm-hmm. Well, that plan got dashed when dummy came down, didn't it? Right? So we play the ace of spades. Remember, they're in 6. We have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have 10 points. How many points do we think our partner has? 0. Yeah, not too many. Yeah. Okay, so we're not going to be looking for him for much help on defense other than a little bit of guidance. So we played the ace of spades, and dummy comes down with the 3. Okay. So our partner can give us a suit preference there, but does he have anything to give us suit preference for? No, because he's got nothing, and we know he's got nothing. We can count, right? Okay, so we have to figure, how do you think you can set this gosh darn contract?
Well, you gotta make your king of hearts good.
Yeah, and how do you do that?
Heck if I know.
Bluff them by playing a low heart and hope they take it.
Low heart, he's just gonna win, that's not gonna help.
Make him be on defense.
I mean, remember,
Leading from
you can
dummy.
say bluff him, but the thing is, he's got to have the king of hearts where you are, or he's gonna go down, so he's gotta take the finesse.
Right, so have him be in dummy to lead his nine through or three through the queen, and then you take it with the king, but I don't
But
know.
he's always gonna get to his hand, and he's always gonna finesse the king. I'm gonna tell you how, play your king of spades.
And let him rough it and be in dummy.
Let him rough it, not just being dummy. This is what you wanna think about. Again, it's that whole defensive plan thought, all right? He's got 3 hearts in dummy, only 3. Ace little, and you've got king little, right?
Oh, so you'll be behind him with
No, it's not behind, it's quantity.
right, 3 you'll have 3.
Okay, so if we make him rough with the king of spades, he now only has 2. He can no longer finesse your king, because he can only lead it twice. Okay? All right? Again, it's thinking about ways to set the contract. I know nobody would have thought about that till now. Don't know if I would have thought about that till now. But again, that's what you want to do, because he can finesse, but you are not going to cover. Well, just because they finesse doesn't mean you have to cover. So he can play the queen, he's going to get to his hand and play the queen, and you're just going to play little. Hallelujah, baby. All right? Again, it's about thinking, and again, you might not see all of these, but I want you to be aware that these are options, because you want to think about, remember, your goal is to set the contract. How do I make that happen? Working with my partner, or sometimes, you know, your partner's not going to be any help, you have to do it on your own, okay? I'm going to go on because I want to get to some hands here, but there's some stuff on page 344, the penalty double and stuff. No, because next week we learn the negative double. Some of you have already learned it from bridge shots and stuff. So kind of go through that. Again, this stuff, it's going to be changed, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. Play of the hand review is just a little review, but I want to get to hands, so let's get to some hands here. Let's see, what do we got here? Sorry I went so late, Mimi. Okay. So people, if you could consolidate to tables with, so we can kind of have 4 people. Okay, might go over there. Can I have some